What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I am your host, Rex Ruger, along with the Alexis Arguello puppet.
And I'm your other host, Frank Benji's, back with another episode.
And it's a good one. Let's get our guest in here. You know how we do it here, man. Right down to the brass tacks. There he is right there, man. What's going on? Can you hear us and see us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys well.
All right. We really appreciate you doing this, man. First of all, let me let people know this is, of course, James Hagler. You have a promotional company promoting boxing, but we were just talking beforehand in our little preamble leading up to this. You are also, as we put it, from the loins of a legend.
Correct.
That's one way to put it, right?
Yes.
Your father, of course. Boxing fans, should not have to be told who the hell Marvelous Marvin Hagler is. I don't know if anybody the world over really needs to be told who Marvelous Marvin Hagler is. But at one point, what I find interesting is that he did feel a certain amount of disrespect and actually legally changed his name to Marvelous.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Just the newscasters, not the newscasters, the people who do the fights. The broadcasters, they would get his name wrong. Because they would say Sugar Ray Leonard, and when they referred to him, they would say Marvin Hagler. And he didn't like that at all. So he would tell them in the ring, my name is Marvelous, call me Marvelous, and they still wouldn't do it. So I think it was Larry Merchant or one of those guys told him that, well, that's not your name. We're not going to call you by your name. So, and just said, okay, I'll tell you what, y'all going to disrespect me like that. I mean, any other fighter, you call them by their ring name, but me, you don't want to do this. That's fine. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just change it and make it my real name and force you guys to say that name. I got a funny story about this too. I want to share with you guys. It's my little brother, Marvin Jr. His nickname is Champ. So, one time, Trent was doing some business. He was handling some business, and he didn't say, Marvin Jr. He just said Marvin Hagler. So my father got upset about it because the people ended up getting in contact with him, asking him about the business adventure, and he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he was really upset because they got his number. So he called my little brother, fussing at him, telling him he can't use his name. And then I talked to him because my brother called me. So I said, Dad, what's going on? Why you tell Champ he can't use his name? That's his name.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I got people calling me for things that he's doing. And I said, well, Dad, your name ain't Marvin Hagler.
That's right. Technically, it's not.
Right. I said, you're Marvelous. He said, I don't care. You tell your brother he got to put Junior after that name.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you brought up Sugar Ray Leonard because, in order to draw some eyes to our podcast, me and Benji's will occasionally go into these boxing groups and forums on Facebook, and we'll put up comparisons or things that the people in the rooms can debate. And I'll tell you, to this day, Sugar Ray Leonard and the Marvin Hagler fight still divides people so much, that fight. I mean, it's in the battle rages on.
It does, and it kind of sucks because I met Ray and I know the family well, and it kind of, we can only go so far with our friendship, you know what I'm saying? And I remember, and I never knew this until I got an opportunity to talk to Ray Jr. And I've met Ray way back in late 90s, and we're up to date now in 2018. And him and my brother Marvin Jr. was supposed to put on a celebrity boxing match where they was going to box each other, but the fathers didn't want it to be a pony show. They wanted them to go real with it. They wanted to be real and use real gloves and stuff like that. So I asked Ray. I said, Ray, why you want to do this? And Ray said, well, I want to do this. Ray Jr. said, well, the reason why I want to do it is because everybody thinks that your father won that fight. And I'm tired of hearing everybody telling me my father lost that fight. And I was like, I was shocked. I was like, really? I said, people, they say that stuff to you guys? And he said, yeah. So, then he asked the question, well, why do your brother wants to fight? And my brother told him, and he told me the same thing. He says, because we tired of people saying that you guys won the fight or that you guys think you won the fight. So it was
both ways. Yeah, absolutely.
So I seen where it was coming from. It would have made it would have been a good thing if we could have got it going. You know what I'm saying? But we had to call it off because my little brother Marvin Jr. was going through a lot of family issues at the time, and he was just no way that he could focus for that fight. But I got an interesting story for you with that one too. Is so when my father found out that this was going to happen, he called me up. He was really pissed. He was upset, and he told me after we got done talking, he said, "So he's going to do this, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you make sure you train him well." I said, "What do you mean? I make sure I train him well. You ain't gonna help."
Right.
He was like, "Nah, you do it. You train him well." And it was just funny. I told him, I said, "Well, Ray C is gonna help Junior. So why you not gonna help?" "Nope, I'm not. I want nothing to do with it. Y'all are gonna get my baby hurt." And I said, "Listen." I said, "Champ know how to fight." "No, he don't." I said, "Listen, you ain't been around long enough to know that he know how to fight. You was always on." I had the kids boxing, all my brothers and sisters boxing like they were real fighters, man. Back in the day, we fought every day, and I know that Marvin Jr. has a skill. He just had to get in shape. But like I said, he's in focus, so we had to walk away from it.
Well, when I was talking about that fight, I made mention, and of course, my son was not even born when that fight happened. But I was 14 years old. You were probably a couple of years older, so you probably remember the Leonard Hagler fight pretty vividly, I would imagine. Correct?
Yeah, I was 18, 17.
And so, dispense of the mystery.
Even though I wasn't born yet, I have gone back and watched it. So I.
It's a classic. It's a classic. But please dispel of any of the myths, because I've heard everything in the comment section from. Your dad and him were very good friends, and some kind of an opinion on he was taking it easy on Ray. And I've heard things all the way up to didn't want to hurt Ray, to obviously you always hear about the corruption and the dirty side of boxing with the scores and everything like that. But what was his mindset going into that fight, man? First of all, were him and Ray very close?
No, they've known each other for years, but they never really was friends. Actually, before he passed away, their friendship was getting a whole lot better. They, so with that was as far as how he was feeling with that fight. A lot was going on in my household at the time. A lot was going on. My grandmother had passed away, which is my mother's mother. His grandmother had passed away. And and it just he wanted to pull out of the fight, but the contract said that it had to be like a wife or kid for you to pull out, and everything would be okay. So he couldn't pull out of the fight, and something that he regretted wasn't really there for my mom's when she needed it, and our family we were going through a turmoil. This is the early days of the divorce and stuff. So to me, I just thought that, in my opinion, I'm gonna give you the scenario. In my opinion, I thought that fight shouldn't have happened. I didn't see that. As far as from a fighter's point of view, I looked at it like, well, Ray didn't deserve a title shot. Ray just came out of the blue, and now boom, here he is. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't deserve a title shot. So I asked my dad. I said, why didn't you make it a non-title shot? He said, I wouldn't have got that much money. And to my dad, it was all about him making more than Ray. If you was going to do that, it was you had him halfway, and then my mother took it to the other half, as far as to convince him to take the fight. But at the end of the day, he told me, he said, he was glad that he got in the ring with Ray. He got an opportunity to know what it's like to fight him. And I looked at the whole situation like this. If you've been following my father's career, he was an uncrowned champ, and when he fought for the title, he fought Vito Infermo, beat him. They still gave him a draw. Then when he fought for the title, they threw bottles at him after he won the fight. He just was having boxing didn't want him really. You know what I mean? And for Ray to come out of retirement, and for us to say, and for everybody else to say that new boxing would say, he's gonna have to knock Ray out. I felt like it should have been the other way around. since Ray's coming out of retirement, it should have been, well, Ray, in order to beat Marvelous, to get that decision, you're gonna have to beat him up real bad.
Right.
It should have been that way instead of the other way around. Marvelous, you got to knock him out. Well, bullshit. I've been on top for a minute. He left the game for 5 to 6 years or whatever. Now he's coming back, and the money's there. That's why the fight's happening. But principles involved. No, I was really disappointed in Dad when he took that fight, but. Like I said, I had no trouble with that,
and that is the big knock on that fight too, because it really is the case of do you like Marvin walking him down, cutting off the ring, that constant pressure, or do you get bedazzled by the showmanship and the flashy combos that don't really do a lot? And obviously Ray was a master at the end of the round of those shoe shine combos and hitting you a bunch of times and making it kind of leaving you with that image like, okay, the last thing I saw was Ray throwing 20 punches.
Well, yeah, but that's an amateur style of boxing.
Yes,
they tell you that in amateurs always finish strong, because if it's a close fight and you finish strong, then that means that you might most likely you'll get that points, because in boxing that's one thing they teach you: always throw punches. It don't matter if they hurt or not, but they're scoring.
Right.
And every fighter knows that. You know what I'm saying? Every fighter knows that. And Ray went in with that tactic, which was a smart tactic.
And he does have that Olympic pedigree, the Olympic scoring system,
Right. And so that was, and Ray fought my father at the time. He fought him when the time was right. That was a good time. I hate to say it, but it's a fact. That was a good time to fight my father when it was the first time in our family history of my dad's legacy, building his legacy as a fighter, that we ever went through any problems. We never had no family problems, no family issues from day one all the way up until Ray. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And my father was known to be, he wouldn't fight a fight if his mind wasn't ready. Because you always told me, don't get in that ring if your mind ain't ready.
Right.
I remember there was an incident that happened with my little sister. She had caught pneumonia. And I think this was for the Hearns fight. I think it was. And
that would have been the way to get Marvelous out of boxing. They could have locked him up for murder against Hearns, or at least attempted murder.
No doubt. So what ended up happening, like I said, my sister got sick and she had to stay in the hospital. We had to keep that from my dad, that he was in training camp.
Yes.
So we couldn't tell him. And we was like, well, how long is she going to be there? And the doctor said that she had pneumonia. So the doctor said when she stopped wheezing, then she able to go home. So we 2 days into this, and I'm like, yo, we there's no way we're gonna be able to keep this from him. You know what I'm saying? Because every time we call him, we want to speak to her. So we had to give him diversions. So she went to bed early. Oh, she's over grandma's house. He called over there. I want to speak to her. Oh, she's asleep. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
All right. And then she ended up having to come home. She only did 2 days and came home, which was great. But after the fight was over, we told him what happened. And he said, I'm glad you guys kept that away from me, because that would have been on my mind. And I don't think I'll be able to train.
I imagine it was probably very difficult, though, growing up and being, because I like that you raised that point, because I've seen Marvelous on different interviews and shows over the years. And he's really one of those old school guys where when he went away to go to camp, that was it. There was no bullshit. He was gone for 8 weeks and that was it. Kissed the wife and kids goodbye. And he's locking himself, as he put it, in isolation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Running the street,
and he was a real intense guy.
Running the streets and chanting war.
Yeah, yelling war. I mean, making up the shirt and the crude marker with the Mugabe will fall. I mean, he was just he really had that warrior mindset.
Well, yeah, you got to think he had to have that, because he was faced with so many adversities in the beginning. He had a lot to prove.
Yeah.
So when you have a lot to prove, you got to come out shining. You got to make sure everything's correct. You got to be best, because anything can happen. Something can happen and you lose your opportunity. You know what I mean? And he didn't have that many opportunities.
Right.
He had, in order to get that title fight, you have to remember he had to go to the politicians to get the title shot. Right.
And he obviously reigned for quite a long time. 80 to 87, 12 defenses. But was it, getting back to what I wanted to ask you, was it difficult being, what was he like? Because we imagine this intense warrior, but what was he like as a parent? What was it like growing up, in the household of a guy that's so intense and so dedicated to his craft?
Well, he never brought it home. He never brought the gym home. You know what I mean? But we always talked boxing. That's what it was about. And my mom's was his Adrian. She was his Adrian. When he wanted training, she wanted training. She did aerobics.
Yeah.
We all was, we was all connected. We were all spiritually connected. All our energy, we all wanted the same thing. All our ships were sailing in the same direction, but he was just, he was a regular father. He was strict, he was very strict. And he ruled the household with an iron fist. So he, it's like living on like living with a military Marine for a father, that. You know what I'm saying? He was adamant about doing everything right and making sure everything looked good. If it didn't look good, you got to do it again. You do it 30 times until you get it right.
Right. Now, as somebody who was old enough to remember that fight, you said you're around 17 years old, 18 years old when that fight happens. Did you think it was a tactical error when he comes out and fights the first couple rounds orthodox?
No, that was just something to, because he thought that everybody was thinking that he was going to come out and fight Leonard like Hearns, which would have been the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Because Leonard would have ran. He would have ran. He would have been on his bicycle. And Leonard probably expected the same thing. So he wanted to do something that was unexpected.
Yeah.
Just to throw it off a little bit. You know what I mean? And it kind of for him, because he came out left-handed, he didn't come out southpaw. So I thought he should have just stayed southpaw.
Yeah.
And then later on during the fight, switch. That was my opinion. But I wasn't ready for that fight.
Obviously, though, one of the ones that's going to be remembered a lot, though, is was the John the Beast Mugabe fight, which really, really, really was two guys going to war for that. Ended in round 11, I believe. Correct.
Right, but one thing I didn't like about Mills Lane is that my dad had the guy out in 6th round. And if you watch that fight, he had him in the 6th round. Mills Lane stopped the fight for no reason.
Yeah, a very difficult fight to watch if you're squeamish. A brutal fight, brutal.
Right, but he broke them up when he was getting ready, for no reason.
Yeah,
I didn't understand, why did you have to step in at that particular time?
Yeah,
and that's what Rexxx. Well, the old Marvin Hagler would have finished him in that round.
And for people that don't know, though, watching the John the Beast Mugabe Marvelous Marvin Hagler fight is like watching like a middleweight version of like what we witnessed in like a Gaddy Ward 1. Just carnage all the way through. Just a brutal, the kind of fight that a real fight fan really loves. But what was Marvin like? But like going back to the Sugar Ray Leonard fight, what was he like post the Leonard fight? Now, you guys, did you move abroad with him? Because he did go over to Italy and kind of was just really seemed disgusted with the whole boxing business. Went over there, he famously, publicly, people know he did movies and stuff. He became quite a celebrity over there.
Well, yeah, we didn't follow him over there. I mean, by this time, they were divorced and we were having problems in our family, and he went over there, and when he went over there, we became more of a distant relative instead of a family. You know what I'm saying? That's what the feeling was. Like I said, that's the best way to put it. We became distant relatives.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. I mean,
that is sad.
Yeah,
it's kind of sad. It's also kind of sad that he felt like he had to cut his career short. Did he discuss that with anybody? Like, why did that mark the halt of his career? Like, was the Leonard, I mean, did the Leonard loss really destroy him that badly?
Yeah, it did, because he was, as far as him leaving boxing, he wanted to retire after Hearns.
Right.
After the Hearns fight, he was like, "I'm done." He's like, I've done enough. I'm well set financially. I'm ready to go. And then the Petronellis didn't really want to see him. They wanted to do one more fight. So the fight with John the Beast Mugabe was actually a fight for the Petronellis.
Yes.
Sugar Ray Leonard came out and said, "Okay, yeah, I wanted to fight you after the Mugabe fight," and he was walking away. He was actually walking away from that, and then my mom convinced him to take the fight, and they went ahead and took the fight. My mom's convinced him, They put up the money and they gave him what he wanted, and that's the issue. And
Yeah.
the outcome of it was really tough. It didn't sit well with him. It really changed him from a person that we knew, as being as our father, to a stranger, man. We, his life after boxing, I don't even know that guy really that well.
Really?
But I know him, I know he's always my dad, but he changed so much, man. And just was really distanced from everybody for a while. I mean, we would see him pop in and out, but it was nothing like family.
Do you think it was because of the loss, or do you think it was because it was a loss specifically to Sugar Ray?
It was the way it was done. It was the way how they took the title from him. I mean, you think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of where guys get title shots at 10 fights. Marvelous had to wait till we were 50-something to get a title shot. You feel me? And all this time going through your head like Jersey Joe Walker. All this time, I'm going to get this up. I'm going to do something else. And he still kept sticking to the grind, knocking out everybody and beating all these number one contenders.
You got to respect it.
You know what I'm saying? Then when you get there, when you get a title shot, they don't give it to you because they say it's a draw because he fought Vito Infermo, who was an Italian fighter, and you know how that was. The mob had something to do with that. Yeah. And then when they come back, they put him in there with Alan Mentor. He beats him, and then they throw bottles at him because his dream was to receive the title inside the ring, and he wasn't able to accomplish that. So just a lot of adversities that he was going through. It just, I mean, that would. And then he's on his way out. You know what I'm saying? He's on his way out to retire. And then this happens. And to all people, Sugar Ray Leonard, you know what I'm saying?
I know. Yeah, I know.
People, you know what I mean? And I felt like Sugar Ray Leonard should have fought him a lot earlier. That fight should have happened a lot earlier. Actually, it should have been a rematch coming out instead of the first fight. That's just how I look at it.
Why did a rematch never manifest?
Well, because at first Ray said he didn't want the rematch. Because they seek the rematch right after the fight. Ray said he didn't want the rematch. Then a year or two later, Ray's talking about he wants to fight now. He wants to this. And we just was like, my father was like, you know what? I'll tell you what, give me this much money. Then my dad started playing games with them. He said, give me this much money. They said, okay. And then they came. He said, well, I don't want that. Give me this much. They said, all right, Mom. And they came back again. Said, give me this much. And Mom kept saying no, like 3 times. And at first it was 25, then it went 35, and then it went to 40. And he said no. And they was like, well, what is it going to take? He said, I'll tell you what, if you get all 3 belts back, I'll fight.
I'll tell you what, James, I'd like to retire just once. Sugar Ray Leonard's had multiple retirements, and yet continues to come back. I just want to retire one time and just once it happens for me, I'm saying it right here on this podcast. I'm staying retired.
Or like Floyd, whenever there's somebody who's got potential, I'll just retire.
Yeah. But did Marvelous ever, come clean to you and really cite why he really felt that he lost that fight? Did he think it was politics? Did he think it was some kind of dirty pool going on there? I mean, obviously, it's no secret the boxing certainly has had a dirty political side to it for a long time, and I do agree with you on some respects, regardless of what you had that fight scored. I do fully believe in that old school mentality. Like, you should go in and decisively beat a guy if you're going to lift some titles off of him.
Right, absolutely, right. No doubt. He just told me this was early. He was already saying this type of stuff. He said it was politics.
Yeah,
and
I believe that too.
And politics was getting really heavy in boxing at this time. You know what I mean? So, and he always would say, "Goddamn politics." He said, "Politics need to stay out of boxing." And and that's what did it for him was he just kept saying it was politics, man.
It's an unfortunate side of the business. It really is. So tell us a little bit about your promotional company. Now, you're still promoting fights, James Hagler Promotions?
Yeah, I've been working at this for a long time, and I put everything on hold because I want to stay focused on on a lot of things that are starting to come to a head. I want to apologize, you guys, for being late for the show.
No worries.
I had, Sundays I really don't do anything, but I watch football games, kind of relax. But my boxing promotions, I put it on hold because I found out during the learning process of learning needs to be done and how to do things correctly. That it takes a lot to get it done. You know, to do it the way you want to do it and do it the right way, shall I say. So I just want to wait until everything, you know, my dad's estate comes to a head. Once that comes to a head, because there's a lot of things that I would like to do, but I can't make things happen until this is actually done. So I've done some shows with other promoters. I've done a lot of amateur stuff. And you can go on YouTube or Athletes TV and see a lot of my stuff. And like I said, I just put a lot of things on hold and just until this is done, and then I'm gonna come out. I want to do Cincinnati. I want to do Brockton, Massachusetts, for home, Atlanta. So I'm gonna be on tour a little bit with my promotional company. Once things come out, I'm gonna start out, like I said, gonna start out kind of small and just build from there.
Show us some love here in upstate New York, man. We got a great casino, and we are about 15 minutes away from the Boxing Hall of Fame ourselves. So.
Yeah. My brother's up in Buffalo, so
yeah,
I definitely got to come through there. I got people out there, a lot of friends out there as well. So I'm definitely going to make my rounds with my events and stuff like that. So
those are specific places that you want to go to, because I actually had that question on the docket I wanted to ask you, like from the promoter side. Obviously, you got MGM Grand and you got MSG, and they do stuff in Miami and stuff, and sometimes in Mexico. But I was curious where else you wanted to see big boxing matches take place. And you said Cincinnati.
I'd like to see something go down. Yeah, I mean, big time boxing. I love to see something in Hawaii.
Yes, fighters would love that too.
Myrtle Beach. I like to see something down in Myrtle Beach. You know, all these places where it's kind of, you know, where they got a lot going on and it's a tourist attraction. I just think it'd be nice to see that, you know, with big time boxing. You know, there's levels to this, you know. So you got guys that do small fights. You got guys that do big fights. You know, and the money is really at the big dogs, but you gotta, you know, there's a lot that you gotta do, and you gotta get your sponsors. There's so much that goes into putting on a good show.
Well, I was fortunate to see your father at the Boxing Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. And it was a really nice moment because he was up at the podium and he had a nice little back and forth with Tommy Hearns. You know what I mean? You kind of kidding each other and joshing each other a little bit. But, you know, condolences. I know it's been a couple of years on his passing, man. We really lost a real legend and just a really classy, fantastic guy.
No doubt. So you said you was there with Hearns. Who was getting inducted? Do you remember who was?
It was the year that one of the Klitschko's went in. Vitaly Klitschko went in, and who else went in? I know Mike Tyson had already been inducted, but he was there for the weekend, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when you said Tommy Hearns, because I was there when Tommy Hearns got inducted.
Yeah. It wasn't his induction. They were both just there. They were up at the podium, just kind of regaling people with stories and stuff and joshing each other. But before we let you out of here, Juan Roldan didn't really knock your father down, did he? Not a knockdown.
No, if you watch that closely, you can see it was a slip.
The only time he was anywhere near the canvas in his whole career.
Now there's another fight that I have that I'm posting on Athletes TV that nobody's haven't seen. There's the early fights of my dad, like Johnny Baldwin and Morris. And I think Morris, he had slipped. He slipped, and you could see the slip.
Yeah.
In that fight. But then, like, I got fights when he won the Nationals and stuff like that.
Stuff people will love to see. That's you know, those are, you know, but boxing fans love going down those trips down memory lane. I fall asleep at night while watching old fights on my phone.
Well, something
I love the sound of it.
Something else I came across that I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I'm curious to know. I saw somewhere that you came to become part owner of a boxing equipment company, like manufacturing company. Is that true?
Yeah, it's my company called Hands Pound for Pound. I got boxing equipment right now. I have some gloves and things, and all that's getting ready to take place. All that's about to go viral with that real soon. After, awesome. Like I said, after everything is settled. So definitely, yeah. So I've been playing around with that a little bit.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. Obviously I shouldn't need to ask you. who won in your opinion, because obviously, you know, you being who you are, but what was your scorecard for your dad and Sugar Ray?
Well, my thing was this. Of course, I was like, you know, Dad got this in the bag. You know what I mean? And I wish that he would have did a little more. At least I wish he would have did a little more things a little different. I just knew his mindset wasn't there, and you know, my thing was this. I thought it should have been, if anything, it should have been a draw.
Yeah, I could have lived with a draw too. I'm not sure what the one guy that had at 118, 110 was looking at. That was what really had me scratching my head. The 115, 113 scores, you know, one for your dad and one for Leonard, I could see. A close fight, it certainly was, regardless of who you liked in it and who you preferred. But, you know, the dirty side of it is when you see somebody with a 118, 110 score, which is like, you know, it really a head scratcher. I mean,
right.
Unbelievable. I mean, you know, I could see why he would be bitter. If someone turned in a 118, 110 after I fought that fight, I'd be bitter too.
But the thing was, it just wasn't that fight. It was just bitter about his whole career, man.
Yeah.
You know? This was like, come on, man, you guys still fucking with me.
I know. After that record and notching those names on his resume, you know, you mentioned Antuofermo and I mean Hearns, Roberto Duran. I mean, for God's sakes, man, give the guy his freaking flowers. I mean, you know, total respect to that man. He's a legend. I mean, you know, you don't finish 66 and what was his record? 66, 2-3 or 3-2. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. He probably is. I think Bernard Hopkins might have beat his reign, but I mean, it's like 1 and 1A for those two as the greatest middleweights of all time. It has to be. I mean,
well, I look at it like this: like they got the, you know, like the Hall of Famers. You know, some guys don't need to be mentioned with some guys,
right?
You know what I mean? Like I'll give you an example, like Antonio Tava. You know, Antonio Tava, he beat Roy Jones, but what happened after that?
Right.
That's the only highlight.
Right.
He makes the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Like, geez, you know, say same thing with Buster Douglas. Oh, you beat Mike, okay, but that's all you did.
Right.
You know
right. It's one accolade.
Right. You got Muhammad Ali, you got Sugar Ray Leonard, you got Tommy Hearns, you got Marvelous, you got Duran. All these guys could, you know, even Roy Jones won up to heavyweight and won a title. That's Hall of Fame material.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I agree.
I think that's just a smack in the face to just let anybody get in the Hall of Fame just because they win a title.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I take nothing away from Antonio Tava and Roy Jones. I mean, Antonio Tava and Buster Douglas, because they did something nobody could do. And I got to, you know, I definitely give them their respect and their flowers. But, you know, I think there should be a separation between, you know, guys that you call Hall of Famers, you know, and guys that just do one-hit wonders.
Right. I agree.
You know, like baseball. Anybody just can't get into Hall of Fame in baseball.
Right.
Basketball, same thing. Football, same thing. You gotta do something to get
right.
You know, you can't just win it. Oh, I won the championship and now I'm in the Hall of Fame. No. You gotta be most valuable player. You got to do something.
Yeah. Win a home run title or something, or a batting crown, or yeah. Well, I will tell you, James, it has really been a pleasure getting the chance to talk to you. It's an honor. It's great getting to hear you keeping your father's legacy alive, man. Hopefully we can consider you a friend of the show and we can have you on again from time to time. We'd love to chop it up with you again. I
would love to, after all smoke clears and we know what direction we're going and put some things together. Definitely, I'd love to come back. You know,
I might take you know what? I don't even run or get off the couch that much, but I might take a run tonight through my town and yell war. Maybe I'll do it.
Hey, they might lock you up, man.
They might lock me up. You're right. Around here, they might. I'm kind of out there. I'm kind of out in a rural area. They might lock me up.
Yeah, he lost his mind. He thinks he's in war.
Yeah, you're right. But seriously, it was really a pleasure talking to you, man. And you know, we are such huge fans of the Hagler legacy, man. And total salute and respect to the marvelous one.
No doubt. So you know what? I got some exclusive stuff coming out on Athletes TV. So you guys get a chance, check it out, man.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be doing some things. I got some exclusive memorial shirts that they made. They're limited edition collector's items. So I'm gonna be giving away for people that subscribe to my channel, people that are following me with Athletes TV. So I'll be announcing that. Just pay attention to the social media.
Well, we will not only subscribe, man, we will wear them proudly in these episodes. And you know, even any advertising is good advertising, you know.
Oh, all day. You know that.
But we thank you again, sir. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been a real pleasure, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, much love, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I said again, I'm sorry for
No worries. No worries. Yeah. Appreciate it, James. Thank you so
All right,
much,
thank
buddy.
All
Yep.
right.
Have a good one. Later. There he goes, folks. The son of a legend. The son of a legend. You know what? I've been called a son of a bitch. A lot of different things, man, but no one's ever called me a son of a legend. Rest in peace to my father, but sorry, Dad. You know, I let you down. I didn't become a legend. That was a nice chin whack. That cleared up a lot of stuff for me, man.
Yeah, listen, man, he had a lot of pertinent stuff to say.
Yeah. Yeah, he sure did, man. It's just great to get the inner workings of like what it was like to really
I had
be.
another couple questions I wanted to get off, but you're a commandeering factor.
I'm trying to fit a lot of stuff in, man. We got another one scheduled, man. I want to be able to go down and take a few whacks myself. I'm not smoking and hanging out during my episode. I wish I could, but I
gotta go in. I know we're still recording here, but folks, I gotta go in and get some dinner, man.
Yeah. So yeah, on that note, because we have another one coming up here
I'm
shortly.
gonna quote the great American poet Gary Busey.
Please do. We got to get the hell out of here.
By saying that you, me, Alexis Arguello puppet, James Hagler, and marvelous Marvin Hagler
The
can
mighty
all go
one.
15 seconds with anything.
Yes. And on that note, let me end this thing with a big giant buzzing.